Throughout the 80s and into the 90s, Frank Bruno was a massive British sporting institution, heavyweight boxer who eventually, after a number of attempts, managed to fulfill his dream of becoming world champion heavyweight boxer of the world. And I remember watching him fight Mike Tyson, the first fight in 1989, and he actually walloped Tyson so hard you could see his brain sort of turn to jelly inside his head. But Frank couldn't capitalise on that, despite everyone screaming and shouting. And Tyson came back and beat him. But eventually, I think it was 1993. He finally managed to become world champion, and the whole nation rejoiced. Now, if you weren't around back then, you can't really sort of understand or appreciate just how massive he was. I mean, his catchphrase, "You know what I mean, Harry," was on Spitting Image. It was everywhere. He's a really sort of gentle giant. But in 1985 or 1986, Elite released a computer game bearing his name, Frank Bruno's Boxing. And I had so much fun with this game. It's a brilliant game. If you've never checked it out, go and check it out, because it is a fantastic game. It's based quite clearly on the NES game Punch Out, but that's no bad thing. It's you play as Frank Bruno, obviously, and you have to fight through 8 increasingly difficult opponents, starting with the Canadian Crusher, going through Fling Long Chop, Ivan Punch Your Head Off, Tribal Trouble, Raffaele Mafiosi, all the way up to the 8th boxer, who is Peter Perfect. There's a couple more in there. Tribal Trouble, I think. I can't remember them all. But this is the game presented. Here we are. I'm fighting Canadian Crusher, the easiest of the lot. And the aim is to, hit him as hard as you can without being hit. All the while, the more successful hits you score without reply, you build up your knockout meter. And then once it starts flashing, you can, like it is there, you can unleash a special move, sort of like a knockout punch. Now, the sound effects in this, despite it being only 48k, are really meaty, really sort of visceral punching sounds. You really feel sorry for the bloke on the other end of them. But all the other boxers have got their own special moves as well. Canadian Crusher has a kind of head squishing move, and whenever you knock one down and they get up, they always try to do their special move. You saw Crusher there just try to squash me head, and the trick is to duck. Now the controls, you've got left punch, right punch, dodge left, dodge right, guard up and guard down, and obviously a special punch button for when you unlock your special attack. Now, as you can see, I've just made him eat canvas. Now, this has a save game system. As you can see, at the end of each successful bout, you get a passcode you're supposed to be able to enter in to move on to the next boxer. It's a multi-load affair. Now, I obviously clearly wrote the code down wrong here, because I just ended up back at Canadian Crusher. But hey ho, let's just have another go at him. Now, it's from Elite Systems, as it's said on the tin. Really, we know that Elite are famous for an awful lot of games: Roller Coaster, Airwolf, Dukes of Hazzard. I did a video on that one. God, what an awful game that is. Thundercats, The Fall Guy, Cockatony Wilf. And there's me having said Elite were responsible for a ton of games, and when it comes to it, I can only name about half a dozen. We've got a mind fart thing going on there. But this game, I bought it back in the day. I still have the tape, as you can see from the sort of loading screen there. I do occasionally still play it on the Spectrum just for a laugh. It's amazing. I remember back in the day actually getting quite far into it. I've never ever seen Peter Perfect, the 8th boxer. I think I've got about 5 or 6 in, but for me that's quite an achievement in itself. If you can't, if you've never been familiar with this game, if you don't know it, and you want a game to play to kill a few hours with and have an absolute laugh and a blast with, I definitely recommend you try this game out. It's so much fun. So we're coming to the end of Canadian Crusher. the second bout with Canadian Crusher. You can see he's got quite a wallop on him if he manages to sort of land. He's just cleaned out my knockout meter there. So let's wait for this to play out, and we'll go into the second bod, who is Fling Long Chop. That's actually his name. Probably couldn't get away with calling anyone something like that now. It's not stereotypical at all, is it? There we are. Bye bye, Crusher. And here we go. Here is Fling Long Chop, who is a kickboxer, which is a bit of an unfair fight, because I'm sure if Frank kicked him back, then yeah, and that's his bloody signature move, the flying head kick thing, and he's done it within 3 bloody seconds of the fight starting. This guy is really difficult. He's only the second boxer. Those of you who are familiar with this game are, of course, sitting here watching it going, my God, he's absolutely hopeless at this. I know I am, but I'm enjoying playing it, and it's such a laugh. You do have to be quite strategic in the way that you approach the games. He's done the bleeding head kick thing again. Ah, infuriating. See how I get on with him. But yeah, definitely worth checking out. I never really into sort of boxing games over the years, etc. I think I had one of the Fight Night games on the Xbox, and when I had a 3DO, there was a game, a Muhammad Ali game. I can't remember what it was called though. That was all right. That was quite a laugh. But I was never really that much into them, or boxing as a sport itself. But this game, I played it tons back in the day. You could, like I say, once you finished a bout successfully, you got a passcode which you could use to enter in, and then load the next boxer, and you could write that down on the inlay of the actual cassette. Is a listing sheet where you can write all the different codes for the different boxes down. So, you know, in effect, like a save game, which worked really well, because obviously you don't want to keep having to play back through the entire bloody thing if you get so far into it and then you cop an unfortunate one and have to go all the way back to the start. I'm not liking Mr. Chop. He's going to get his head punched in if I had my way. So I did 2, possibly 3 bouts with him. In this second one, I at least had a go. So I sort of tried to fight back a little bit and deal some damage to him, as well as taking a load from him. Yeah, he's not having it all his own way there. Just smack him in the chops. One thing I noticed about him was if he wasn't having much success, he would unleash that sort of flying kick more and more often. As you see there, he's just done it twice in quick succession, trying to score an easy knockout. But old Frank ain't that slow. Third time. And there you go, he's just wiped out my knockout meter, which I was building up quite nicely there. Came out on the majority of the 8-bit systems of the time. I'm fairly sure it was out on the Amstrad and Commodore as well. I have no experience of those versions. I might start doing in my videos very quick comparisons of the major sort of versions of games side by side with the specky versions. But I'm in 2 minds about that, because this is a Spectrum-oriented channel, heavily so. It's the way I have it set up, it's the way it's laid out, and I think it's quite unambiguous in that. If you think there's any worth in me doing that, then please let me know, either in the comments below or in either of the Facebook groups that we're part of, Spectrum Forever or Coin-Ops Consoles and Computer Games. Just to, if you think it might be an idea worth pursuing. Anyway, that's the end of this narration. It's not the end of the video. It's going to play out a little bit more. It's the end of the narration. So without further ado, I'll wish you well for the remainder of the week. Enjoy the bank holiday Monday. Wherever you are, have a great time, and I'll see you next time out.